One of the easiest ways to stuck in the wrong relationship is to continue telling yourself those three lies, regardless of whether it is the third date or a third years of our marriage, that we just don't notice. So before you're going to go ahead and say, that's not me, trust me, that was almost all of us until we start seeing it clearly. So stay with me just to make sure you're in the right one. The first one, he will become different the moment we will become more serious and there are going to be more specific plans intact. No, we're not living in La La Land and understand we will be able to change the man. But we see that potential. He's telling us about that potential all the time, the things he wants, his goals. So we start believing that that's what actually going to happen. And the most important aspect of this myth is not actually even substantial things, but more emotional capacity. Of course, we don't expect a man on the first or second date to be fully acceptive, full spectrum of our emotions because we're still just dating. Maybe you asked him something about his past or about his fears and he shook it off or even said, I don't know. You made him uncomfortable. And yes, you backed off because that's what we've been taught to do. To not push because we're just starting dating, we're just getting to know each other. But I'm almost positive you forgot about that experience and you just assume it's a part of you getting to know each other and not a part of not being able to give you the capacity of the emotions that you deserve. You took a step back at that moment and you erased that information. But another thing that you did is you made yourself convenient the moment he became uncomfortable. Why? Because we don't want to scare a man away on the first, second, or third date. But that moment, he showed you exactly who he is. He showed you the ceiling of his emotional depth. And of course, instead of saying, look at that, why wasn't it? We just gave it an explanation. Once we're going to start going a little bit more serious, he will open up. He will be more emotionally aware and acceptive, opening up. And he kind of did, but that was already emotional crumbs back then. He was already giving you his best. It wasn't noticeable because in those circumstances, it seems kind of legit. But you probably understand that later on, when the relationship is more serious, when you're married or even have kids, he is not suddenly going to be turning into this man and going to say, okay, let's sit down and talk about our feelings, because you know that he wasn't that person in the first place. And let's be clear here. I'm not saying don't date him or leave him. I'm just saying stop ignoring those signs. If you're dating this man, address it now. Don't wait till you're 6 months in, 6 years in to address those issues. Address them as soon as it's possible to be safe, emotionally safe and secure in your own relationship later on. The second lie, I need to be more supportive. I need to be more understanding. I need to be more patient. And this one breaks my heart. First of all, because I used to be one of those women. Smart, career-oriented, educated, intelligent women who know how to communicate, build boundaries, being supportive, being understanding, go back home and feel that they're not good enough in those things and starting performing even more. They start becoming someone who they think he wants. Think about it when you first start dating. I'm not saying you were fake, not at all, but we do all perform a little bit more. We are exaggerating whatever we already have inside. We're more flexible on the restaurant we will choose. We're more flexible about the time or the schedule that we want. We're making things more convenient because there are two people involved in the date. So we're kind of trying to be more flexible. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that it's the way it is. But the real problem starts is that sometimes we don't want to be convenient all the time. And in a certain stage, other demands in the relationship, like business, career, kids, take over as well. And we continue with that performance, unfortunately, because those are the expectations we set back then. Those are the behaviors that we accepted or didn't accept it. This is the convenience that we allowed. It's very difficult to stop that because, again, we understand there are two people in the relationship. So when we start disagreeing more, or when we're starting to put our boundaries a little bit more, and when we start being a little bit less flexible and less convenient, suddenly it becomes not real. And he starts pulling away. And here the cycle begins. He starts pulling a little bit away. You are trying to fix yourself more because you feel that you're too much, so you're dialing it back as well. But then you don't feel the love that you deserve, so you're trying to fix the relationship a little bit more. And then you're learning a little bit more how to be more patient and more accepting and more supporting. And the loop will continue constantly until a huge boom, a breakup, or even worse. And no, he's not pulling away because he suddenly discovers the version of you that he doesn't like. It's because he never saw the real you, and now he understands that and he needs to adjust his behavior. That's not fun. So the fix isn't performing harder. The fix isn't to be more patient, more supportive, more understanding, more convenient. It is about the risk of being seen the way you are and your needs and your emotions. The things that matter to you, even though sometimes it means that it will make him a little bit uncomfortable or it will be inconvenient. And yes, it might mean that some men will leave. But if those men will leave when you show the real you, it means those men were never supposed to be yours in the first place and don't deserve you. Lie number 3, and it's a complete myth, that if you just gonna work on it and fix it and catch it on time, you will prevent this relationship from falling apart. If you have any anxious tendencies, and majority of successful women who are thriving, they are used to catch things before they break, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Your nervous system is programmed to catch, to fix. It's like an analytical surveillance camera all the time. You notice every tiny shift in his mood, in his behavior, whatever happens. And besides the fact that it could be something outside, you start thinking, what did I do? How can I fix it? How can I be more supportive? How can I need to be more understanding? This isn't love. This is hypervigilance. And you were probably trained into that long before you met this guy or you got into this relationship. This is who you are. Unfortunately, probably because of micro traumas or big traumas back in your past, you are hyper vigilant. You are always alert to stay safe, to keep things intact so they will not fall apart. The scary part is sometimes it's not actually what happens. Your nervous system actually rewrites the narratives. It says, okay, I did something wrong. He's angry because of that. He's probably too tired. He's probably going to say no. He's going to probably disagree. It's going to become a big conflict. Even before you spoke out, just the way he said a word or a sentence, you created an exact outcome based on the experiences you had before. And those experiences showed you very clearly that he will pull away, he will lose interest, he will leave. And when that anxiety writes that story, your reactions are going to be extreme. Not because you're too much, but because it responds to a threat that's not actually there. And that actually can push him away. So what do? First of all, you name it. It's my nervous system. It's not me. Second, you pause before you react. Another sentence that helped a lot of my clients. How arrogant do you think you are that everything evolves around you and you're the only one who's in control of his mood? Maybe there were other things that is not your responsibility at all. The strongest thing that you can do in any relationship is to remove lying. I know it's pleasant. I know it's nice. I know it's a myth. It's so nice to believe. I am a believer, but I'm also a realist. And to understand what exactly happens in order for us to know how to react is the key for a calm, successful, dynamic relationship. Don't be afraid to show who you are. Don't be too convenient. Work on yourself. Communicate it to him as well in the language that he can finally hear, understand, bypass his defense mechanisms because they will show up. Work on your relationship. It's never too late, regardless whether you just started dating him or you're 6 into your marriage with kids. Tell me in comments which lie you were telling yourself, maybe others, and I would love to hear your opinions furthermore.